So it seems as though there's more spoilers, or I guess a little bit of insight into the upcoming episodes of Dragon Ball Super. And this one right here, it's a bit vague, but I think we can kind of make a great guess, a very educated guess as to what's going to happen. But I think it's also going to be controversial, because I think the outcome of this arc, the Goku Black fused Zamasu arc, is going to be controversial one way or another, the way it ends, because I think people are expecting an incredible ending for this arc, because it's been insane. I mean, we've had so many different obstacles, we had so many different fights between Vegeta and Goku Black fighting, Goku and Zamasu, Trunks, Vegito now incoming in the next episode. So I think people's expectations on how all of this is supposed to end is pretty high. I think majority of people, they want or expect at the very least maybe an ass whipping from Vegito and then a seal. That's what I'm assuming that a lot of people want, or they just want some really epic shit. They really just want a really cool ending to this battle. And if it goes down this way, I'm really curious to see what people's opinions are going to be about the ending of this arc. Because again, I think it's very vital for a lot of people. And again, I think people's expectations for this arc, the ending, is high. So let's read a little bit of it and then we'll talk. Dragon Ball Super episode 67 preview. Will they be able to protect the future? The final battle with Zamasu. Will they find the secret to resisting Zamasu? That's the official preview, but there's a lot more. Will he save the future? The last fight against Zamasu. Trunks is rewarded after his impassioned desire to protect humanity leads to renewed strength to fight against Zamasu. However, Zamasu is not defeated as was thought, and his body gradually begins to envelop the sky and to restart once more. So off that alone, okay, you gotta think, so Vegito probably kicks his ass and they think it's over, and Trunks is excited. Now, who the hell is going to be rewarding him? It would have to be maybe Goas or Supreme Kai or something like that. And I'm assuming the reward could potentially be like, hey, you know what? Even though you broke the rules, again, if it's somebody that's in power, like a god or something like that, even though you broke the rules, it's cool. From now on, whenever you have a really serious problem in your timeline, you can come and go as you please, because we know that you're a good dude and there's nothing going to be, you know, wrong with you coming back and forth, even though you have created essentially some of these problems. So I'm assuming that could be the reward. Other than that, maybe it could be a simple kiss from Mai, or Mai saying, hey, you want to see some of these? This is a good reward. That could potentially be a good one too. But it seems as though, again, that's going to possibly happen after the fight with Vegito, because this is a preview for episode 67, which comes out next week. This week we still have episode 66 with the fight with Vegito, but again, there is more. Goku says this week, kind of like, you know, the preview where you hear Goku speaking, he finds a way to defeat Zamasu. Zamasu, who had lost his body, faces Goku and the others in a critical situation once more. Then he thought all was lost. Goku finds something in his pocket. Now, okay, if this is happening after the battle with Vegito, one thing you gotta know is they separated, because if this is Goku and Goku finds something in his pocket, that means that him and Vegeta eventually, you know, split, and it's happening again, I'm assuming, between episode 66 and 67. Maybe by the end of episode 66, they're gonna split. I don't know how, because I assumed, and I thought it would have been awesome too, that they would have gone back to their timeline as Vegito, and it would have been a while until they actually can gather up the Super Dragon Balls, or their Dragon Balls, and wish to be split again. But something is going to happen. It could very well play into the thing that I was talking about in my previous video about Dragon Ball Super, with the whole thing of the weakness that Vegito is suffering from. Which again, it could be the fact that he's, you know, really strong, or the God Key, or there's something wrong with him that he can't stay permanent. Maybe he is just too strong to actually stay stuck. Unlike when he was Vegito before, Super Vegito with the Super Saiyan powers, he was pretty freaking strong, especially for that time period in Dragon Ball Z. But comparatively speaking, now Goku and Vegeta have completely dominated their way through to their strength. Now Super Saiyan Blue Goku alone is way stronger than what Goku was in the Majin Buu arc. I don't want to get into the debate whether or not Goku Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken is stronger than Vegito was back then, which who knows what the hell that would be like, that fight or whatever. But nonetheless, they've definitely gotten stronger, so that could potentially be the reason why they defuse. I still still think that'd be a little bit out there because, again, fusion with the Potara earrings has always been said to be permanent, but we did see random cases like inside of Majin Buu, how they defuse, which I still don't really understand it. I mean, I guess it was because of the digestive process or whatever, but it still was kind of like a little out there. So nonetheless, they are going to defuse within 2 episodes, so we won't get that much of Super Vegito or Vegito Super Saiyan Blue for that long, which kind of is like, I mean, I guess it's like kind of giving us like a little tiny piece of chocolate cake. You ain't getting the whole cake. You ain't having Vegito like go and meet up with Bulma and all that other stuff, which I guess technically she'll see him there or whatever, but they're not gonna have, you know, a whole big thing of Vegito. Although it will be interesting as well, because another thing is when Vegito fought Buu, if I'm correct, there was almost nobody left on planet Earth. It was basically just Vegito and Majin Buu. This time around, one of the weaknesses that Vegito's gonna face, which I'm guessing it's probably not gonna have anything to do with the actual weakness they were teasing, but he has people around to worry about. It's not as simple as it was before with the fight against Buu. This time around, there's still remnants of Earthlings. There's still Mai and her people, and then there's Bulma down there, there's Trunks, so there's a few people around this time around, so that could very well be a weakness that he's suffering from. But the big thing about this preview that is kind of making people wonder, is this how the arc is going to end, is what's inside of Goku's pocket. Now, if we was talking about episode 65, him finding something, I would have assumed maybe they gave him some earrings or something like that before he left the timeline, and he found an earring or two, and that's how, you know, he went Vegito. But if this is after the Vegito fight, and this is after all that happens, then you gotta think, could that very well be the button that the Omni King Zeno gave him before he left, and that was the whole setup of how this arc was going to end? Because I always go to that part in this arc, and I keep rethinking about that particular part, is why was that thrown in there? Why was that wedged in there? It felt like it was kind of like setting up for something, but then at the same time, it's like we haven't really discussed that in a while. Like, it's kind of, you know, went by, and we've had the fights, and we've had Goku Black, and all the talk about the timelines and all that shit, and we never really talked about Zeno. So there's a possibility that the thing in his pocket could very well be the button that Zeno gave him. Now, that's something leading into a whole different territory. For starters, is Zeno gonna immediately pop up from timelines and different dimensions and stuff like that and show up there? Also, what could he very well do against an immortal? I mean, we've heard the legends and stuff like that. It's been kind of built up that Zeno essentially can destroy universes like nothing. He's not a fighter. He's not gonna go and, you know, woo, 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 but he ultimately can use his powers to kind of destroy universes. What is the extent of his power? Can he, for say, lock up an immortal in some sort of different dimension? Can he seal away Zamasu? Also, one of the big questions is, I guess, for the fandom in general, how is the fandom going to take that? Do they feel as though it's going to be like a cheap way out? Goku and Vegeta at the end of the day weren't able to muster up the strength, and it's like, yes, let's count on the strongest being in the universe to do it, because I could definitely see some of the fandom being upset with this. I think since it was already foreshadowed, is kind of like, holy shit, I kind of even forgot about that. It's kind of interesting that they're bringing it back, but I can also see people being like, yo, this is the climax, this is the finale. We had Vegito up in there, Super Saiyan Blue, against this fused Zamasu, so people are going to kind of be looking at it like, oh, I don't know. I mean, for me personally, I think it'll be interesting. It just depends on the way it plays out and everything. I mean, okay, Vegito kicks the shit out of Zamasu, somehow defuses, Goku finds the button, bam, Zeno, come over here, help us out. What is Zeno gonna do? How is Zeno gonna play out on that aspect? Because if they do it correctly, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal of people like being upset, but nonetheless, it just has to be executed properly. I think that's the only way that people aren't gonna really be mad about this. And again, I mean, it was foreshadowed. It's not like, hey, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys in the writing of this whole arc that something like this happened where he got the button. Like, no, that was a whole, I believe, episode, and I think that was a good chunk of a chapter in the manga as well. So it was set up, and it would make sense at the same time that, you know, the strongest being in the universe, he wants to be friends with Goku. Goku presses that button, he'll come and help out. And also, it showcases that, yeah, if his body got that fucked up, Vegito is gonna do damage, because I believe it's been confirmed as well that a move that I think is game exclusive, I don't think it's necessarily new, but I think it was exclusive to the video games, Vegito is going to be using the final Kamehameha. That's something that's been leaked out as well, which I ain't gonna lie, I'm excited excited as fuck to see Zamasu, you know, the fuse merge Zamasu's god, take on one of those, which I'm assuming that the final Kamehameha is going to be the blow that actually destroys him, and then after that, I don't know if it's gonna completely drain Vegito's ki, and that's how he'll defuse or something like that, maybe something along the lines of, you know, that area or whatever, but nonetheless, that move is gonna be used, and I'm assuming, again, if you connect all the dots of all the little pieces of information, it'll probably go as follows. Goku and Vegeta fuse, they kick the shit out of Zamasu, they have some sort of weakness, they eventually defuse after using final Kamehameha, they're desperate because Zamasu has returned once more, which I really hope, again, it explains, because based on the way it's been told, it's almost as if his body continues to get thrown out of that space and time that the Goku black bodies have been thrown out of. So again, I want that to be explained, but nonetheless, then Goku pulls out the button, Zeno's gonna show up, and I'm assuming that Zeno is gonna handle all this. I don't know if he's gonna seal him, I don't know if his power is that devastating that he'll be able to just destroy every last bit, that the immortality won't work, which still, the immortality is something to question, because whenever you introduce immortality into a plot, it almost seems as though it's two hacks, because they can never die no matter what you do. So if they do die, then that's not immortality, so that's something to question as well. But then again, if he's the Lord of everything, then he can even override something as the Super Dragon Balls created, because he's essentially the Omni King. He's, you know, above all of that shit, so maybe his strength even supersedes something like the Super Dragon Balls. But let me know what you guys think. I definitely want to say the biggest question, assuming it plays out all as I've just described, and ultimately the final way to defeat him is the Omni King shows up and defeats Merge Zamasu. Do you feel as though that'll be a cheap way to end this? Are you going to be disappointed with that? Will you like it? Also, how do you feel seemingly that Vegito is only going to probably last like an episode or so? Do you want them to be, you know, around more? Again, I really like Vegito's character. I think he's really cool, but he is very strong, and I also think that if we're going to do that, then we do need limits, so that way Goku and Vegeta can't just continuously use this like, hey, we have a really bad problem, let's fuse and then we'll fuck them up. And how do you think it's all going to play out? Are you excited to see the final Kamehameha? Again, a lot of interesting tidbits here. Link it all down in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Really cool stuff. And yeah, your overall expectations. Honestly, this arc has been amazing, and I think one way or another there's going to be some section of the fandom that are going to be slightly disappointed at the outcome, no matter how it goes. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook to get more when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.